done.
Every week we start the same. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. You gonna show off our new mugs?
A very dear friend sent me these mugs for my birthday. Anyway, we are back and you're watching How Can You Say That? Segment 26. And tonight we had difficulty.
25.
Segment 26.
Okay.
If you used to edit, you would know the number. Anyway.
I'm not an editor or a producer. I just blow hot air here, which was the whole argument we had before.
We're trying to agree on a topic, and almost every topic seems dangerous anymore.
Put on the timer.
Since freedom of speech has been revoked. And so tonight, John and I are not in agreement on this topic, but we're doing it anyway, and he will add his bits of what he wanted to discuss, and I will try to focus on what I wanted to discuss. So tonight, our topic is current events, the little bits and pieces that are pertinent to what is happening in the world today. And I believe the reason John doesn't want to talk about this is he does not pay attention to what is going on in the world. So he doesn't quite know what to say.
Welcome to the Jennylyn Gleave Show. So sit back and enjoy the show as Jenny does her podcast. And I will be here to rescue her in case she runs out of words or thoughts at any particular moment. Is that better?
Exactly.
Does that make you happy?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
You know, I don't care for you very much.
Well, John, we feel the same way about each other.
Every week I walk onto this podcast hoping someone else is going to be in that seat. And every week it's you. Great. Let's do this.
That's a rich.
So anyway, topic-wise, so Jenny decided once I got to the studio that we have a new topic tonight that we're doing, and I'm once again completely unprepared because she likes when I look like an idiot and don't know what I'm talking about. So we're going to do this your way, and hopefully I'll be able to chime in with a couple of relevant points that maybe they're interesting, maybe they're not. But I would like to mention one thing before we start. I would like to wish you a happy birthday. Your birthday was the other day. And I would also like to point out that she's making a very big party coming up. People are flying in, people are driving in from out of town. And she deliberately scheduled this party on a Jewish holiday, knowing that I will not be able to attend and embarrass and humiliate her in front of her classy friends because I am just a gutter lowlife. So you have it your way. I won't be there. Maybe for your next year's party, I will. But for this year, I can't make it. Our RSVP officially, no.
Well, Jonathan, I can't help being strategic. That's all I will say for that.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, tonight we wanted to discuss the RB topic. And I'm told you can't say his name anymore because the whole segment will get pulled down. But if you're paying attention, you will know that RB has been in the news a lot because he's been pointing out.
Can you say his first name at least?
The discrepancies in the reporting of news.
His first name rhymes with tussle.
And the narrative that we're being fed. And the narrative, and he is bringing us the narrative that's being hidden. And so suddenly it seems like he's being punished. And so for now, we are going to avoid that topic because I've already gotten my hands pink.
So his first name rhymes with tussle. His last name rhymes with sand. Is that better? And he was an actor from Britain. Are we okay with that? Can we say that?
I guess.
Tussle Sand from England with the funny British accent, who was an actor and became more of a conservative commentator in a way.
And was married to a very famous woman.
What was her name?
Annie Katy Perry. And
no, Schmady Schmerry. You can't say the name. Do you want you said the government's already up your ass. You need them deeper up your ass? Is that what you want?
But anyway, I think it's a sad day in the world because this is not just an America thing. When we can't express our views anymore, and for me, if you have any questions, clearly the answer is blatant now, because what is being hidden? If something wasn't being hidden, we'd be allowed to share our views. Because for me, you should be able to put information out there, even if it's but you know what crazy, and let people decide what they want to believe. But the fact that it's being so policed really makes you wonder why.
You've gone on this tirade in previous podcasts. We don't need to repeat that again. Let's stay focused on what we're trying to talk about.
I'm saying it again because I want people to understand why we're not discussing that topic, because I feel like that is a very hot topic and I have lots of opinions about it.
The actor Tussle Sand, what we're going to talk about is some of his accusations, which have been in the news lately, about unwanted sexual advances, rape, all these inappropriate things that he allegedly, supposedly did. And you know, I was thinking about this because what I noticed was that there seems to be a pattern, a playbook that's used specifically to take men in particular down that have sort of gone off what the script of what the government would like you to do or the role they'd like you to play. Kind of like whenever you just deviate and you don't go along with the narrative, the government tries to figure out ways to pull things out of the woodwork to take you down. And it's generally the same playbook where it involves your past sexual behavior in some form or another. And they dig up these allegations from people, and they're never really recent things. The things that happened 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, sometimes 30 years ago, times, you know, when times were very different and different things were acceptable that are not acceptable now. Kind of like when, if you saw someone in an office smoking now, a cigarette, you'd be like, oh my God, what are you doing? It's crazy. But 20 years ago, everyone sat in an office and smoked cigarettes. It was pretty normal. So even like the workplace, whether you're talking about Tussle Sand or Spill Sposby, we all know who that is, the black comedian, or any other names that have been in the media. Schmonald Schmump, you know, him also. You know, Schmonald Schmump, before he became president, he was a very well-known socialite that was very wealthy. And during all that time, when he was doing all of his real estate and maybe acting like an inappropriate animal, nobody said a word. But once he decided he was going to be president or run for president and take all of these very hard, like conservative positions, all of a sudden these women were coming out from 10 years ago and 20 years ago and complaining. And the interesting thing is that these days, when they come out with these allegations, you know, in the past, you needed physical evidence of a crime. You needed to timely report these things. You needed, it couldn't just be a story that this happened. But ever since this whole Me Too movement happened, the woman's word is just accepted as truth. The media will report that these are all the allegations.
I disagree. I think when the media has an agenda to take someone down, they frame the story so that everyone watching can't help but believe that that person is guilty. Unfortunately, you get tried by the media in the world before you actually step into a courtroom. And that is what is blatantly obvious that is happening to Brussels, whatever you call his name. You know who we're talking about. And it's wrong. And but you know, I sit here and say how many things are wrong, but I'm powerless to make them right. I think what is going to make them right is if more people start standing up, because we are not the only one losing our rights. Every single American who is not on the side of the mainstream, you're losing your rights. And if it doesn't matter to you, then it's okay. But it matters to me because I believe I work very hard and I pay my taxes and I deserve to have the freedoms that this country has promised. And I have not received the memo telling me that I've lost them all. So I'm still hanging on to the hope that I've still got those.
Oh, you keep hanging on to that false hope. But what it is whenever somebody becomes a threat to the establishment, that's actually the line that we're looking for. That's when they go on the attack, or the establishment goes on the attack. I mean, we say the government, but it's really the establishment, which includes the government. It's a little bit deeper than that.
Government.
Well, it's government, it's media, it's
Canadian. When the government of England is writing to the Canadian government to try to ban a platform because they're allowing RB to put his stuff on their platform, then it gets murky and then it becomes a government issue, because why is the government getting involved?
Well, because again, that rattling of the establishment usually means, like lately, it's things where someone will come out and they'll question January 6th.
Say
Schmovid. They'll question elections. They'll question big pharma. They'll question, a lot of things that the government kind of wants them to be kind of accepted narratives. And when you question them and you dig into them, it kind of rattles the establishment and threatens the establishment in a way, because people start to listen and think about conspiracy theories, and that's not, in the government's view, healthy for our society. So it's that turn that people make from being in the establishment and part of the establishment, the liberal elites, Hollywood, things like that, where they turn and make a right turn towards being much more conservative and really start to step out of that box and question things. That's where the problems begin for these people. And again, it's a playbook, and it's the same playbook every single time. And it's getting tired already, and it's getting just obnoxious, where they destroy people's lives.
What does that tell you? What it tells me is that there's no regard for our intelligence, because we can see clearly what's going on. Everybody who's paying attention can. And for me, if you know that people everywhere are saying, wait, something isn't right with this picture. This person has declared that he had a colorful past, and he has cleaned up, and now he's on the side of inspiring and encouraging people. And it doesn't mean that I was there during the past and that the people making accusations are not telling the truth. I don't know. But why can't we wait until it goes before a judge before we judge?
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. But everything I ever did with him was consensual.
Unfortunately, it's not what's happening. And most recently, a young lady published a letter that she received asking her basically to disclose the events of a weekend she spent with him. And because it was not the common narrative of he R'd me, or the other narrative that's published, they told her that they didn't need her because that's not the kind of material.
Well, they were trying to put together a hit piece, not journalism.
This bothers me because it could happen to any one of us. We've all done things in the past that we might not be proud of.
What have you done?
None of your business. Anyway, the most recent thing is our president, or the president of the United States, not my president, is starting in on a war with Elon Musk over free speech. And I have to say, Elon Musk is really stepping up to the plate on the side of integrity if he's truly fighting for the rights of the American people.
That's why he bought Twitter.
To have freedom of speech. And I think it's time we have someone who's hugely successful and financially successful standing on the side of the common.
That's why he purchased Twitter, to be able to do exactly that.
I'm hoping.
Am I here? Am I not here?
That he is going to succeed and he will win the battle. Why are you so annoying? You just can't help yourself. When you were speaking, didn't I let you speak?
Ugh. What I was saying was that that's why Elon Musk bought Twitter, to be able to have a mechanism for truth, as opposed to what Twitter was before. But you know, what Can I have a turn?
No. You know, we're living in a world that's not perfect. There's no perfect world. There are no perfect people. But we have governments and we have laws so that we can have some semblance of fairness and equality and human rights. And it looks like it has all diminished. And like there's some dictator that we are not aware of running the show. And clearly that person or establishment has little regard for the underdog. And it looks like we're losing every single right we've had if we're not being forced to take certain things, we're being lied to. And when people who know the truth are trying to put it out there so we can protect ourselves, they're being punished. So how can we just call ourselves Americans and sit back and watch this and be quiet?
And how are they being punished? They are being punished with accusations of rape, which are being used as political weapons.
Well,
and they're being used as political weapons to take people down.
There's so many names I can mention from the past, like Julian Assange and so many of these people.
But what do they all have in common?
And where did they all end up?
What,
and why?
What do they all have in common?
Slapped with that rape tag.
But what do they all have in common? They've gone against the establishment.
And so maybe I'm next. Who knows? I'm not important, so it won't really matter.
Agreed.
But at the end of the day, I am a humanitarian, and it really hurts my heart when I see any human being treated poorly or being treated badly. Because what is wrong with Americans coming together like Jon and I are, talking about what's going on in the world? After all, mainstream media puts these stories out there, and all we are merely doing is looking at the different sides of these conversations and topics. So why are we not allowed to do that? Why do we have to agree with mainstream media if the narrative is making us feel like we're lying to ourselves? I don't want to do that. And I would hope that I still live in a country where my truth can be my truth while your truth is yours.
No, you don't. That country doesn't exist anymore.
Well, we have a problem.
Yes, we do.
Because maybe it's time for me to pack, but where do
I go?
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Nice knowing you. Can I tell you about a dream I had the other night? Can I tell you about a dream?
I want to hear your dream, but I think the viewers might, so go for it, Jon.
So I had a weird dream the other. Remember, in past podcasts, I talked about some weird, like, premonition dreams that I had when I was severely overstocking on toilet paper, and my wife's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I go, "What if there's a pandemic?" That was like a year before COVID, and weird things like that. They just kind of pop into my mind, and sometimes
you make me have to.
I'm sorry. This is my time
to use a word I've asked you not to use, and you don't know how to edit. You have no interest.
It's just a word, schmovid. It doesn't mean it. Nobody cares about that anymore.
You've said it. Oh, don't be foolish.
Oh, stop it. Anyway, so I had a dream the other night, and I think I had this dream because of the movie Sound of Freedom, which we talked about on a previous podcast. And also we were talking about media control and, you know, the lack of attention that movie got in the media, basically blocking the movie from even being in existence as far as the country is concerned.
We have 8 minutes.
I know! Anyway, so my dream, I was in a mall, and you just don't seem that interested because I kind of shared a little bit of this with you the other day, but maybe people actually want to hear this. So I had this dream, and maybe again, because of the Sound of Freedom in the movie, we're talking about it on the podcast, that I was in a mall, and the mall had like these bleachers, and there was a guy standing in the bleachers. Everyone was sitting, but there's one guy standing. There was a guy standing behind me, and it was me, my wife, and my 2 daughters there. And I saw one of the guy in the bleachers motion to the other guy, like a gesture, and then I saw the other guy make a gesture, like shake his head yes, and then all of a sudden I turned around, my daughters were gone. And it, like, I woke up, I was freaked out, it was really, like, very scary. They were basically abducted in the mall in my dream. And the next morning, my son wakes me up, like, in a panic, and he's like, "I was at the ATM machine, this crazy thing happened, I'll tell you what happened." So he's like, "Well, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "Okay, what happened?" He goes, I was at the ATM and there was a guy in a car and a guy standing behind me. And the guy saw that I was going to the ATM and he signaled to the other guy with a hand gesture that I was taking money out of the ATM. And there's this whole scam about people following people in cars after they take money out of the ATM. And he's like, and this guy gestured to him. I'm like, what do you mean he gestured? He's like, yeah, he shook his head. Yes, he did. Then back and forth. And I'm like, thinking to myself, that's the dream I had the other night. Turns out my son was doing a deposit and he saw the guy go like this, like saying no, like don't bother following this one. He did a deposit, didn't do a withdrawal. So I was tying these things together. I was telling my daughter the dream. And I'm like, in my dream, there was gesturing these two guys back and forth. And then the next day, my son's in a real life scenario where people might be trying to rob him and they're gesturing back and forth. I'm like, my daughter's Courtney. I'm like, Courtney, what is the connection between this? And you know what she came up with?
Oh, I don't know.
She said, well, my son Jordan was at the ATM machine. What does ATM stand for? At the mall. So my son's real life scenario corresponded with my dream of the two men gesturing to each other about a crime. And that happened at the mall in my dream. Isn't that weird?
It's weird, but you know what I dreamt?
What?
That you can't speak anymore.
What?
You heard me.
What does that mean?
I dreamt that you got dumb.
That I got dumb?
You can't speak. Your mouth was moving.
What, they got, I had a stroke or something?
I don't know.
Did you really have that dream?
Yes, no words were coming out. And I woke up not sure if I should be.
Oh, I could clarify that dream. Actually, you lost your hearing. My words were coming out. You just couldn't hear them. So it was not anything negative about me. It was a dream that you went deaf.
I did not attack you.
It was a dream you went deaf.
I did not attack your dream. Why are you attacking my dream? I dreamt you couldn't know.
I'm interpreting your dream. You went deaf in your dream.
No.
So you thought that I lost the ability to speak. You lost the ability to hear.
I was feeling sad, and some people were glad.
Get out of here. So annoying. Anyways, enough about dreams. I just want to share that because I felt like it was one of those weird, like, premonition kind of things.
Now
So.
you guys understand why we have a man boy on the show, because a man would never do what was just done there. So he doesn't only have the name, he clearly done.
Last podcast, you pushed me off the chair. All I did was spin you around. What's the big deal? You actually pushed me.
This podcast has taken a completely different turn, and I don't know exactly what the title is going to be. The fitting title is for it, but I think that the world there's so much going on in the world right now, and there's so much to say, but there's so much we can't say. So it makes it really, really difficult to really put our feelings out there, because I have to watch my back.
There's nothing behind you. You don't have to worry. I think you think you're way bigger of a deal than you are.
I don't think I'm a big deal at all. But, where I come from, there's a saying.
Yeah.
A little axe can cut down a big tree. So I may be a little deal.
Is that a Guyanese expression?
I may be just a little deal, but I have power, just like everyone does.
Wow.
So we thank you so much for continuing to watch us. We have a second segment to this show, and we will be back.
We're going to share some very interesting stuff
too, which hopefully we can share more of the things we neglected to share on this segment in case they pull it down.
Hopefully I'll still have the ability to speak on the next podcast.
Big guns in one segment.
Yes, of course.
So thank you so much for watching HoW.
How can you say that?
The show where we are raw and authentic. And we thank you, and we will
Cheers.
see you next
and
time.
happy birthday.
Thank you, Vicky. Credit to you for this beautiful.
I love these mugs. We should sell them. We should make up mugs to sell them. You want to do that?
See you next time.
Can you do that also? Because I don't have time for that.
John's ugly face all day. We'll have these available for sale on my website. And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye. Bye.